Hello there, it's Keith from the Evangelical Free Church, Stony Stratford. And this Remembrance Day, we remember a saying of Jesus. This is from the Gospel of John, chapter 15 and verse 13. Greater love has no one than this, that he lay down his life for his friends. My father served during the war, and one of his notable experiences was, of course, D-Day. He was in the Navy, and he was part of a whole flotilla of ships where troops were clambering from one ship to another to get to the landing crafts and go to the Normandy beaches to fight. Now, to him, in the middle of it, it just seemed like almost chaos. You know, he didn't know where these troops were going, so which boat they were supposed to end up on or anything like that. But of course, it had all been meticulously planned some months in advance. And out of this supposed or seemingly chaos was this plan that would lead to the liberation of Europe. But my dad said, when you're in the middle of it, it was very, very hard to work out what was going on. Well, of course, that plan also involved tremendous sacrifice. So, of course, it's right and proper that we remember those who've given up their lives in the service and freedom of this country. But what did Jesus actually mean when he said those words? Well, the context is found in John chapter 15 and verses 12 to 14. So I'm going to read the verses around this verse that it's all part of. So just listen to this. Verse 12. My command is this: love each other as I have loved you. Greater love has no one than this, that he lays down his life for his friends. You are my friends if you do what I command. It's interesting, isn't it? It's about Jesus' followers loving one another. It is actually an invitation to be part of a new community. A community that has love for each other. War is actually a failure, however we look at it. We can talk about just wars. We can talk about fighting on the right side. But in the end, war is a failure. Any time a country goes to war, there is a failure of diplomacy. Okay, maybe force has to be met with force. But it's a tragedy, isn't it? And it actually shows that we live in a world where people do not love one another. A fallen world. A world where we're driven by our passions. What did Jesus come to do? Well, he came to die. And that's actually the context of this verse. Greater love has no one than this, that he laid down his life for his friends. Jesus is speaking to the disciples here. They are his friends. He comes to save them. Now that's interesting, isn't it? Even the people who are close to Jesus need saving. And this is the thing. We too can be his friends if we keep his commandments, if we keep what God commands. My dad couldn't make much sense of what was going on around him on D-Day. But just as D-Day was a plan of liberation, God had a plan of liberation for the human race. And that was because we failed. And as I said, war is proof of that. But Jesus comes to liberate us from our failure. He comes to reconcile us. That's what he means by being his friends. It's right and proper, as I've said, that we celebrate today and we remember those who have sacrificed their lives in, the cause of freedom. And it would be a tragedy if we missed that. But it would also be a tragedy if we missed what Jesus came to do. So just as we shouldn't forget today those who've laid down their lives, Let's not forget that Jesus came to liberate us from our rebellion against God. That's what the Bible calls sin. And there is an offer that we can be his friends if we follow, as we should, what we should do, those commands that we've broken. War is a tragedy, but it is also a greater tragedy not to know Jesus and to accept his sacrifice for us. Thanks for listening.